Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Soul Seekers podcast, where we believe that hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure, as we share our mission of mentorship is conservation. To learn more about everything we do, check out our show on Carbon TV or go to soulseekersnation.com. Freedom on, everybody, and stay soulful. Do you want to become a better shooter, reduce flinch, protect your ears, and just overall enjoy shooting your gun that much more? Then there's no better way to do that than by adding a suppressor to the end of your barrel. Be sure to check out Huxwrx Safety Co, as they are a leader in the suppressor world with their OSS Flow-Through Technology, virtually eliminating blowback and toxic gas that can affect weapon system performance and shooter health. To find out more about Huxwrx, go to huxwrx.com. That's huxwrx.com, and go get yourself a suppressor for your upcoming hunts. This podcast is also proudly brought to you by OnX Hunt. When I first got into hunting, I kept hearing all about public land and different access and how to find different locations to hunt. I was like, well, how are people even identifying all this stuff? Well, sure enough, I came across the number one hunting GPS app, and that is OnX Hunt. If you guys want to get better at hunting and go deeper into your scouting, OnX Hunt is the number one GPS app for that. Join the millions of hunters who trust OnX Hunt to find more game, discover new access, and hunt smarter. It was a game changer for me, and I know it's going to be a game changer for you if you've never used it. If you have used it, you know the power that it holds. Guys, I really hope you enjoy this episode. If you want to know more about OnX, go to onxmaps.com/hunt. And check out their app. Be blessed, freedom on, and stay soulful. If you're in the market for optics, I want you to go check out blackdiamondoptics.com. Black Diamond Optics offers world-class sporting and tactical optics, including thermals, all at wholesale pricing, direct to consumer. They are going to be partnering up with us for 2023, and I want to start pointing you over towards their direction. Check out Black Diamond Optics. If you've got any questions about it, shoot us a message. Love to hear from you. Be blessed, everybody. All right, guys, if you're looking for a better way to stay hydrated this coming hunting season and on all your adventures in the future, go check out hardsidehydration.com. Their swig rig is awesome, an absolute game changer when it comes to staying hydrated. I get tired of playing around with any water bladders in my bag and having to remove things to get to them and the chance of them puncturing and all that. So what Hardside did, take Nalgene's, got multiple sizes, and you're attaching your hose straight to that. Keep it on the outside of your pack, a lot easier to use. They also have a lot of other cool things. Go check out hardsidehydration.com. Use the code SOULSEEKERS10. That's all one word. Save yourself 10% at checkout. Hope you guys enjoy this podcast. Be blessed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Soul Seekers podcast. I am your host, Johnny Mack, and I'm joined by a fellow warrior and somebody who is a returning guest from the podcast from the springtime. We did an episode all about a type 3 lifestyle and talking all about different adventures in life that humanity needs, specifically men once they get out of college and community. And we get into this business world of going to work and doing the same thing over and over. And we need to have adventure in our life. And that was with Paul Ronto, the co-founder of Type 3 Lifestyle, but he also works at OnX Hunt. And we're going to be talking all about Paul's adventures this fall, all about what's to look forward to on OnX and so much more. And I just can't wait because the energy's always epic when Paul joins the show. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Paul Ronto, the Ronto.
All right, yeah. I love the intro that I get at this place. It really pumps my ego up. I'm going to be super excited for the next 2 weeks. I'm pumped to be back here. I love talking to you, J-Mac. It's awesome. So, yeah, I'm stoked to talk about the adventures that I had this fall as a hunter, talk about some of, what's going on in Type 3 life. And we got a lot of stuff brewing up at OnX. I know we're in the middle of hunting season, but we've got a lot of stuff that has come out recently, a lot of stuff that's coming out, and we've got some exciting news to potentially share about what's happening in 2024. So, yeah, let's dive in.
Let's get into it. The getting's why it's good. So, Paulie, brother, you and I talked this fall. You were prepping for a solo bear hunt. Bear just happens to be like one of the animals that I feel like I know the most about. Not that I'm an expert by any means, but it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, I cut my teeth on bear hunting. So you reached out to me and you're like, hey brother, can you go over some digital scouting with me and tell me what you would think is a general location that I should focus on for a fall bear hunt? And I'm going to do the same, and let's compare notes, and I'm planning on getting out. So I ended up doing some digital scouting in the state of Colorado for a couple units, and you and I came to a lot of the same conclusions.
Yeah, I've been trying to track down a bear for probably the last 3 or 4 years. I wasn't a bear hunter before that. I've carried a tag in my pocket for years as just a maybe if you see one while I'm elk or deer hunting, and I've never come across one during a hunt. So I tried to focus the last 3 or 4 falls on getting a bear, and this year was so complicated. We got so much rain this summer in Colorado. Like, we had no fire season. Everything was green and lush. Everything was overgrown. And come September, when there's a rifle bear season out here in Colorado, it was still like 90 degrees. Opening weekend, I went down to the Western Slope. I was hunting out by Grand Junction, and that's technically the desert. It was 90 degrees opening weekend. The sagebrush and the scrub oaks were so thick and dense. Last year there was no acorns. This year, acorns everywhere, berries everywhere. It was like a jungle. You couldn't go 2 feet without getting hung up in the oak brush. Oak brush was 20 feet tall. It was like, I was like, how the hell do I find a bear in
Right.
this mess? And so I ran around for 5 days and basically just exhausted myself, and came home and thought, all right, I gotta replan this. I gotta figure out how to be smarter, not stronger. And that's when I got a hold of you. I was like, I need some tips on where am I going to find a bear without trying to kill myself in this scrub oak.
Yep. And what it was amazing is that you and I, we ended up coming to the same conclusion. Obviously, September, when there is an abundance of food for black bears, that makes it very difficult, because then they're going to be anywhere. You can't really pinpoint any one specific location. However, what I've always found is that these bears are never going to be that far away from a consistent water source. So if food is abundant, then you got to search for the water sources. And that's, we ended up scouting up a couple of the exact same creeks and draws and drainages. And I was like, I would start here. And you're like, that's exactly what I was looking at.
Yeah, we came up with the same conclusion. I mean, e-scouting is a real powerful tool. I mean, you can spend a ton of time on the computer and really minimize the time that you need to be boots on the ground. I mean, nothing beats boots on the ground, but where I was hunting was 6 hours from the house. So round trip, it's 12 hours. It was a haul, and it was hard to go back and forth on weekends. I was weekend hunting for bear after this first 5 days. And it was just like, I wanted to try new areas, and I just didn't have enough time to put boots on the ground everywhere. So, spending a couple hours on the computer is like spending weeks in the woods. And I found a handful of spots that I thought would be great, and you and I both zoned in on the same spot. And I thought, that's all right. I'm on to something. I'm on to figuring out where these bears might be when I'm looking at a map. And I think that's an awesome skill to start learning, asking buddies, trying to figure out where animals, whether it's bears or elk or deer, where you've killed them in the past, and try to correlate where they are on the map to where they may be in other areas on the map. And I think it's just an invaluable tool to get on the computer before you go into the woods and figure out a few spots that really have some potential. So yeah, it was awesome to see that you and I came up with the same location. Now, spoiler alert, I never made it back out to those locations. My September got really busy. I had a Type 3 Life trip that we did in the desert with a bunch of guys, and I have a bunch of other hunts planned this fall. So the bear hunt kind of dwindled, unfortunately, but, and I won't spoil this, it did come full circle when I was out on my elk hunt, which I think we're going to talk more about.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. Before we jump into that hunt, I want to just talk a little bit more about this e-scouting and this concept that you're talking about. So one of the things that I always come across, and this is speaking towards the mentorship aspect of this podcast, is, I was the same way. You're new to hunting, you take to hunting forums, Facebook groups, everyone sees the posts. Not looking for anybody's honey hole, but have you seen animals, blah, blah, blah. Or, do you know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you, Paul?
I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, I'm guilty of doing this. I mean, with bear, it's a little different because a lot of times people aren't hunting bears, or like people on those forums or Facebook groups like are hikers. So you can actually you can kind of pilfer those groups for some good intel on bears. Like you're never going to get any good intel on deer or elk, but like sometimes people give up the bear spots or like give up where they've seen bear, and like landowners will give up where they've seen bear. So there is some good information in there, but yeah, I mean, it's endless. Like, tell me where I should go. Like, okay, of course, yeah. Who's going to
Right.
give up their honey hole to 1,000 people on a Facebook group?
What I love though is what you did, and this is what I would encourage a lot of people to do. Is instead of saying, "Hey, honey holes," what Paul did is he approached me. He goes, "Hey, these are the units that I've narrowed it down. Maybe it's just one unit. I know I want to pursue bear. Um, you know how to hunt bear. Tell me where would you e-scout on this and narrow it down." And I really appreciated that, and I wanted to share that with the listeners because maybe you don't know anyone that hunts completely, or maybe you feel like you have one person that you could ask or whatever. But take these types of tips and be like, "Oh, okay, I see." It's kind of like calling a biologist for a state. You're like, "Hey, I drew the special tag. I'm supposed to hunt this unit. Do you have any intel for it?" It's always a lot better when you come to people with some sort of knowledge or information prior to starting up that conversation.
Yeah, I think it doesn't work if you're like, where should I go? But if you say, hey, I've got 3 spots that I'm considering, can you check them out and give me some feedback on these? I think people are willing to help. I also think like if you can find a guy that's a bear hunter that lives in Texas and uh, he understands bears. Like he doesn't have a honey hole in Colorado.
No.
Like, so why wouldn't you help me? Like, I'm not burning your spot, like, so like I came to you because I was like, you know what you're talking about. You've been on Western bear hunts, and like, I just need some help looking for new spots. And so I wasn't asking you for one of your spots or where you would go. I was asking like, can you help me find a spot in a new area that neither of us have ever been? And if you can find guys that are willing to help you with that, I think if you're willing to ask for it, I think there's hunters out there that are willing to help you with it.
Yep.
It
Yep.
might even be on those Facebook groups. I mean, I've met a bunch of people asking this fall for advice that were willing to help when I was asking for advice, not asking for where should I go. And like people just come out of the woodwork and they're like, yeah, I hunted Colorado 2 years ago. I'm from Michigan. I'm never going back there. So like, here's where I hunted. And I saw a bunch of bears. And I can tell you, like what was happening with the acorns and what was happening that year on the ground. And it's like, okay, now I got to correlate. Is that actually happening this year? Might there be bears in the same area? So like, there's a ton of information and people willing to help, but you just can't ask like, where's the honey hole?
Right. You can, you're just not going to get much of a response.
Well, you also got to take all the advice from other hunters for a grain of salt because they may be sending you in the wrong direction for sure.
Okay, dude, hugely. I take everyone for their word, and it's a great attribute of mine, and one that gets me in trouble a lot because I don't read between the lines very easily. So when someone's like telling me info, I'm like, yeah, like I just assume they're telling me the truth. But in the hunting world, man, there will be people that just feel like, screw you, I'm going to tell you all sorts of stuff and send you on a wild goose chase.
Yeah, no, yeah, like go left when you're supposed to go right. And I mean, that's a frustration of mine in the hunting world. Like I've got a lot of friends that just started hunting recently, and I'm kind of like mentoring them, and I've been mentoring them. My brother-in-laws are in this group. My business partner, Type 3 Life. I've got a buddy at Onyx that wasn't a hunter 2 years ago, and like I think it's important that we help other hunters. Granted, everyone's very protective of their spots, but like there's a lot of space out there, especially in the West. There's a lot of public land. You don't have to burn your honey hole, but you can give some tips that are actually going to help people. You don't have to just completely screw other hunters over. And there's enough deer and there's enough elk out there. And if they're hunting somewhere you've never hunted before, you got a once in a lifetime tag. You're going to Alaska. Like, when's the next time you're going to go back to Alaska? You're going to go to the same spot. Like, in my opinion, is let's help each other out. Like, we're all out there to have a good time and harvest animals, and the more of us that can get out there, the more people will keep doing it. So yeah, it's a bummer that there's such a secretive culture around hunting, and it's very like, let's tell this guy the wrong information. So I mean, I'm guilty of that too. I've done it. I mean, I can't say that I'm a saint or anything. Like, when I come out of the woods and there's other hunters at the trailhead and they ask if I've seen anything, I very habitually say no, I haven't seen anything. even when I've seen a lot. So like I mean, it happens, but you know, for bears or for like general information, I think we should all help each other out.
Yeah, I love it. So you never made it back to that location. What was your takeaway? Is that were you like, okay, I feel good. That feels like a spot I'm going to save for future endeavors, or what was your thought?
Yeah, my takeaway. Well, I had hunted that same area last year, and last year there was no mass crop, no acorns, very few berries, very dry last year. And so the few berry patches I found were like hot spots. And this year, like you said, they could have been anywhere. The good thing is I saw sign everywhere. There was bear scat everywhere. There's bear footprint. I mean, there was prints everywhere. It was just hard to track them down, and they were all in the oak brush. It was impossible to go in after them. And there was no place where I was hunting where there was like a good ridge to get a vantage point and sit in glass. Like it was kind of rolling, low angle hills.
Yep.
It's kind of where the mountains peter out into the desert in Western Colorado. So it's just a really hard unit to hunt. So ultimately, I think it's a great unit, tons of bears there, but I'm not going to hunt it next year. I'm going to try to hunt something closer so I can go more often.
Yeah.
I don't have that 12-hour round trip drive. I can go every weekend for the 4 or 5 weeks that the season's open, and I can get more experience being in the woods. So there may be less bears closer to where I live on the Front Range in Colorado, but I can be in the woods more often. So I think there's a good trade-off there to potentially learn some things.
Totally. Okay, so let's dive into this hunt that you went on. So September went by, and I never made it back out there. You went on a Type 3 trip to the desert. Was that a mountain bike trip?
Yeah, it was a 4-day mountain bike trip out in the desert, which was rad. Hut to hut mountain bike trip. We had a guy driving a vehicle, dropping all our stuff off at every hut, cooler full of cold beer every night. Like it was the way to camp. It was awesome.
That's awesome. And so you come back from that all energized, but you're like, okay, I got something on my plate. I got a vendetta to pick against the wildlife of Colorado.
Yeah, I had this hunt on my mind. I've been hunting Northwest Colorado for the last 17 years, and anyone that's been following along with what happened last winter in Colorado, we had a big winter, and we had a overabundant winter kill. And so my unit got hammered. They actually reduced the tags in the unit I'd been hunting for 17 years by 89%. So
89%.
89%. So yeah, it was a major bummer because in 17 years I've harvested an elk every single year there. And
whoa.
And I decided we're not going back to that unit. So I told my buddies we're not going back. That was always a third season hunt, which is in November. Later, it's cold, lots of snow. So we decided let's try a first season hunt. Let's go. We've never done a first season hunt. They're draw only. Let's see if we can draw these tags for down south. We were in the San Juan Mountains, which is southwest Colorado, and we picked a unit that had a wilderness area in it, the Colorado's biggest wilderness area, and we said let's do a backpack style hunt in the wilderness area and see what happens. And as we started getting into the planning, we were like, what are we getting into? Like, just to get into this wilderness area from the truck where we were going to park was 5 miles. And then to get to the altitude we wanted to get was another 5 or 6 miles. And we just thought, like, before we even start hunting, we're going to be 10 or 12 miles in. And so we came up with the crazy idea to rent llamas. We've never done a llama hunt. We've never had pack animals. I was a guide back in the day. I've dealt with horses. I'm not a fan of horses. I'll just say it right now. They're a lot of work. You got to feed them. They don't want to eat. You got to water them. They don't want to drink water. You got to do all sorts of stuff with them. So llamas seemed really attractive because they like basically just eat grass while they're out there. You don't bring a lot of food. They drink the water in the streams. You don't have to bring much water for them. They're pretty simple. You don't have to brush them out every night. Like they can carry plenty of weight. And so we decided to rent these llamas, and this is where the adventure started. Have you ever worked with llamas? Have you ever gone on a hunt with llamas?
No, never. I've been near llamas that spit at me, but that was about it.
They're super amazing animals. They are endearing as hell. They look pretty dang cute, but they've got these personalities. Yeah, they spit at you. We had no clue what we were doing. So the llama guy that we rented llamas from, which surprisingly, there's a lot of llama outfitters out west that you can rent llamas from to do this exact thing, to pack in and hunt. You know, the Forest Service uses them in the summer to do trail work, and they pack tools way back in the woods. People go backpacking with them. And so they're trained to pack in. this isn't just any old llama that you can get off of Craigslist. Like these are expensive trained llamas. And they require you to come and do a training. So me and my 3 buddies, late August, we go to this guy's farm and we do this llama training. We get introduced to the llamas. My llama's named Flamethrower. We had another llama named Felipe. Like these llamas all have their little personalities, and you put these little pack frames on them, and you can put saddlebags on the side of them, and they can carry like 100 to 120, maybe the bigger ones, 140 pounds each.
What's up, Soul Seekers Nation? Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I really appreciate it. As a reward, I have some discount codes for you to use if you are in the market for a brand new hunting pack. Go check out initialascent.com and Initial Ascent packs. They are made in America. Their one-piece carbon frame is an absolute game changer. We run their packs. We love them. And you can save 5% at checkout by using the code SOULSEEKERS. That's all one word. Also, for those of you who are archery hunters and you are tired of shooting at dots on a target, check out deadnutsoutdoors.com for their lifelike 2D archery targets. You can save 20% on all of their products by using the code SOULSEEKERS at checkout. Once again, the code is SOULSEEKERS, all one word. Go check out initialascent.com and Dead Nuts Outdoors. Enjoy the podcast.
So like you can actually take some real shit into the woods, and you can go miles. Like you don't carry anything. Like we put everything on these llamas and hiked in. And I mean, this is like, it's like a comedy, man, watching us try to deal with these llamas. We had really no clue what we were doing. The training was like 1 hour, and then off we go into the woods a month later, where we've forgotten everything we learned about the llamas. We forgot, how do you put these saddles on? How do you even get them out of the trailer? Like we're clueless. But we made it in. We made it in 12 miles. We set camp at 12 miles up at 11,000 feet. And this is where the hunt started. And it was amazing. It was an amazing start. We're in the wilderness zone. For those of you that don't know, obviously most listeners probably do. Wilderness zones, no bikes, no four-wheelers, no side-by-sides, nothing mechanical. You can't have a chainsaw in there. Like you're either on horses or you're on foot. Like,
yeah.
And so it makes it like very inaccessible to most hunters to go that far in. You can't kill an elk 12 miles in and expect to pack it out. It's just too much work. So this is what we thought was going to be like our advantage. We're going to get these llamas and we're going to go deep and we're going to go far into the woods. We're going to go high up into the mountains, and we're not going to see a single soul. And honestly, that's what ended up happening. We didn't see anyone. But before we got to camp the first night, we load these llamas up and we like are going in, and these llamas don't want to go, and you're like pulling them. Stuff's falling off the llamas because we didn't strap it on very good. Like it's like the Beverly Hillbillies going into the woods. We got all this shit we don't need. My buddies have cookies in Tupperware that's like falling out of glass Tupperware that's falling out of the llamas. Like this was supposed to be a backpack style hunt where we were all going to pack 30 pounds of gear. Our llamas were full up going in, like 100 pounds each. We brought like 400 pounds of crap into the woods. Like, I don't know what we were thinking, but it was really cool. It was really fun to get this adventure kicked off. And it turned out, I mean, we'll talk more about it. I'll open up the floor to some questions from you, but it was like this awesome, epic thing that was totally different than every hunt we'd ever done. The normal hunt we've done, we set up wall tents right off the road. You can bring everything you want, cots, wood-burning stoves, good food. And this was going to be like self-support back in the wilderness, way back in there. And so it was just like a totally different feel. Like it felt like we were going on an adventure. It felt like we were like legit. Like we had those North Face bags that you see on like the yaks, like the old pictures of the yaks going to Mount Everest. Like we had those duffel bags like on the llamas. Like it felt like we were doing something serious.
You were going on an expedition.
It felt like an expedition for sure, especially with the amount of gear we brought in. It felt like an expedition, which was really cool. It was like this really special feeling, and it was first rifle, so it was like sunny and warm. There was no snow on the ground. We're used to 10-degree weather and 20 inches of snow on the ground, and we're looking for tracks. Like this was a totally different experience. We're just like cruising through the mountains, high altitude, water's still running. It was beautiful.
What is it like? I can only imagine. Like I own a dog. Like I'm not. Someone's like, "Hey man, can I rent your dog for the weekend?" Now I know it's not the same as a dog, but I know horse people are pretty serious about their horses. So What is a deposit like on llamas? Would that end up costing
Oh,
you?
dude. Well, that's where it's like this is, I said it's not like your Craigslist llama. I don't know if anyone on listening has ever looked for a llama, but you can get free llamas or like llamas for $500 on Craigslist. Apparently, people just like give their llamas away. These are not those llamas. These llamas, the guy told us, uh, if we lose one or if one dies, which apparently happens all the time, they're $5,000 a piece.
Yep.
And we had 4 of these llamas under my name. And so I'm like, shit, we have 20 grand worth of llamas in the woods. Like the day before I left, I called my insurance company to ask if I could insure these llamas. And the insurance guy was like, what are you talking about? Like, you want to insure rented llamas? He'd never even heard that this is a thing. So no, I couldn't insure them. And I was just on the hook. If one goes missing or, gets away, or one gets attacked by a mountain lion, which they're pretty easy targets because they just stand around. Yeah, you're on the hook for $5,000.
You don't want any llama drama. That's bad.
No. Oh, you're gonna have llama drama no matter what. But yeah, you hope that it isn't so bad that one of them ends up gone out of your pack string. So
Right. You don't want one kicking the bucket on the mountain. So when you are hunting this new terrain, who did the scouting for you? Was that you?
yeah, I did the scouting. I kind of planned the whole trip. I run this company on the side that plans adventure trips for men. So I've been planning trips like this for 20, 25 years. I always plan the hunt, and this hunt was no different. But I spent a ton of time this year because it's a new area. I spent a ton of time talking to biologists, talking to people that live in that part of the state, talking to people that have hunted the San Juans, looking at Onyx. I mean, I did e-scouting to the max. I had probably 250 waypoints dropped in the area that we were going to potentially be in for everything that I thought might be interesting, whether it's water or it's glassy knobs or it's places to set camp, or if there's some meadows, or where elk might be, what elevation range they're going to be at that time of year. So there's just a ton of work to do.
I got a question for you because I've never asked this to anybody before, and I've always been curious. So hopefully this resonates with the listeners. Out of all the waypoints that you chose, did any of them turn out to be what you needed or wanted to find the animals?
Well, this is funny because, my buddies all obviously know I work for Onyx. We get into the woods. I sent them all the waypoints before we go. I shared them with them so they'd have them on their phones. One guy, and I reminded him, download your offline map. One of my buddies, who's my oldest hunting buddy, didn't download the offline map. So we get 12 miles in and his Onyx is worthless. Another guy somehow logged out of his Onyx or got a new phone, or I don't know what happened, but he logged out of his Onyx. Again, we get into the woods. You need service to be able to log into the account. Then once you're in, then you can use it without service. But so his account down. It's like, great. So 2 out of 4 of us don't have Onyx. And so that started off. But the last day we talked about like, how did I find this area? And it's amazing because the one of the waypoints that I put like an asterisk on, that was like a very, like, this is the spot I want to get to. It was going to be the hardest spot to get to, but this is the spot I want to go. I think this is where you're going to be elk. That's where we found all of our elk. Like, we found a ton of elk. We saw no other hunters. And ultimately the whole hunt, the success of the hunt came down to the e-scouting. Like, yes, I called biologists and I got some tips and I figured out what elevation they'd be at. And, but ultimately it came down to finding water, finding a place for them to go during the middle of the day, finding a place for refuge. And, you can use Onyx for all that in extreme detail. You can put it into 3D mode. You can see the aspect of the slope. You can see north facing versus south facing. We have a tool on X called Terrain X, where you can turn it on and you can actually limit your elevation band. So you'll only see on the map a certain elevation band, and then you can drop a waypoint and be able to see what you'd be able to glass from that waypoint. It's called View Shed. And so like you can do all this stuff of where do I want to sit and glass? Where am I going to be able to see the most country? Where am I going to be able to take shots? Like, am I going to be sitting somewhere that's 1,000 yards away from where the elk might be, or is it 300 yards? And so you can start figuring out like better places to sit because you might have actual shooting lanes that are within your comfort zone of shooting.
Yep.
You can figure out north facing aspects where they're going to bed down during the middle of the day. We have a feature this year that came out that shows you recent imagery. So it shows you imagery every 2 weeks. So this is different than what it's always been, where you see imagery that's fairly static that updates a couple times every few years. This now you can go back and see every 2 weeks. So you can go through it and look back every 2 weeks to see where there's a snow line or potentially what has happened with the vegetation, like where are things starting to die off. And so I did a ton of that research to try to figure out where's there still water, what's not frozen, is there a snow line up at 12,000 feet yet? We had a storm a week before, so I wanted to see what was happening with the snow line. All that, I mean, hours on the computer, but it led to a really good plan. Like I knew exactly where we were going in. I knew exactly what drainage we were going to turn up into. I knew what meadow I wanted to get to. And lo and behold, we get in there on Friday afternoon. Friday evening, we go out to scout the day before season opens, and we get into elk. And so, like, we're pumped. Friday night at camp, we're pumped that we're into elk. There's no one else up here. And tomorrow morning, it's on. Like, we were stoked.
Sweet. So, okay, for the sake of listeners, I love to educate people as we go about. This is what time of year? October, mid-October?
Yeah, early October, like October 10th to the 19th or something.
Okay,
Like
so
the second week of
you
October.
might have a couple bulls still rutting, but
Yep.
the main rut is over, so you might hear a couple bugles. So when you were doing your scouting, you said you were looking for water sources, you were looking for cover. How did you pinpoint your areas? What specifically were you looking for the elk?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the big thing I was looking for was open meadows that I would expect them to be around the edges. I like to hunt edges. I'm notoriously a bad deep timber, dark timber hunter. Like I hate still hunting. Like I feel like I just bump everything out of there. I'm not very good at it. I'm not slow enough. So I like to spot and stalk. I like to sit up on knobs and glass, and I like to do 1,000-yard stalks or 2-mile stalks. Like if I see an elk 3 miles away and I put my spotter on it and it's got horns, I'm going to walk 3 miles to get a little closer. And so I wanted to find areas that were open enough for me to actually sit in glass and find animals. And I wanted to find areas that had edges of dark timber, because I know they like to go into the dark timber during the day, especially early season when it's still warm out during the day. I mean, we were at 12,000 feet, but it was still 60, 65, 70 degrees during the day. So they're still looking for north aspect slopes. They're looking for shade during the day. But in the mornings, they might be out on those edges. In the evenings, they might be out on those meadows. And so I was looking for meadows that had water in them, close to dark timber that had a north-facing aspect. Now, that sounds very specific, but there's a ton of that. So, but I was very specific. I wanted the north-facing aspect to have ponderosa pine on it, a little bit dispersed so they could get in there. They can find some shade, but it's not so thick they can't really walk through there, because I don't want to walk through there. I'm sure elk are in those places, but I like it when it's a little more open so that I can glass into that tree stand and actually maybe see if there's elk bedded down in the middle of the day, so that like during the middle part of the day, I'm not just sitting doing nothing. I can sit there and glass. And so looking for that. I'm also looking for areas with aspens. Like aspens provide a little bit of shade, but you can glass through them pretty well, and you can still hunt and walk through them and see a couple 100 yards. You're not like in the dark timber. So I'm looking for all that. But the main thing is meadows at the elevation range I wanted that would have water that isn't frozen. So either a creek or a body of water that's big enough that maybe it hasn't frozen yet. Those were my main things. And I'm not kidding. Like I had a couple asterisk meadows, but my main one that I really wanted to check, which is where we ended up spending the next 5 days in and around that meadow because it was so productive.
Wow.
We never even got to some of the other asterisk points that I wanted to check out. We'll leave that for next year. But yeah, it was awesome. It's just like the plan came to fruition and worked, and there was animals. And it was really cool to see too. I mean, we're in a wilderness zone, and it was like the wilderness zone was going off. Like there's elk, there was deer. We saw some porcupines mating, which I hadn't seen before. We saw high alpine ducks. We saw 2 mallards at 11 or 12 or 13,000 feet in a pond. We saw all sorts of wildlife. It was cool. It's just like we're back here in the wilderness where things should be doing their natural things. It was really kick ass.
Yeah, that's how I started hunting. Well, my first bear hunt was in a wilderness area, 9 miles. It feels so special when you go. You feel like, at least to me, I'm like, that feels like hunting.
It really feels like an adventure. It feels like a backcountry hunt. It's a special place. It's amazing that the founders of this country, and starting with Teddy Roosevelt and after that, really thought like, hey, we got to keep some of this place, like not only just national forest, but we got to keep some of it like untouched. Like we got to keep some of it where like you can't go in there on a bicycle. Like you can have no mechanical advantage in this place other than riding a horse in there. That's the only advantage you can get. Otherwise, you're on foot. And it was.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. As a thank you, I got more discount codes for all of you. If you are in the market for anything in regards to calls, whether it's elk calls, turkey calls, deer or predator calls, you can save 15% on all Rocky Mountain hunting calls by using the code SOULSEEKERS. That's all one word. And if you're in the market for hard side hydration, a better way to hydrate, go check out hardsidehydration.com. Use the code SOULSEEKERS10 to save 10%. And we also have a discount at Graxaw.com. Graxaw is the leader in ultralight game bags and other backcountry gear. Light, fast, and efficient is their motto. Use the code SOULSEEKERS, all one word, to save 10% at checkout.
I'm so grateful that those places exist because it was magic, man. It was really cool to be in the high country in October chasing big elk. And like you said, it's the tail end of the rut. We had a really warm September here, so the rut was delayed. So I was thinking like we're going to hit it perfect. Like it's going to be right at the end of the rut. There's going to be rutting animals. It was a little later than the end of the rut, but we did get into bugling elk. One of my hunting partners, his elk he actually took because this elk was just going off and bugling, and he was able to get in on this elk and took the bugler out of the herd. And that was a really cool experience for him to be able to see, because we normally hunt third season where the elk may do a locator call in the morning once or twice to get their herd together, but they're not bugling like that. And this elk was just going off. He said he must have bugled 100 times.
Wow.
And it was just a show for him. And it was such an awesome experience for him because he had never seen that.
Did you guys plan on calling at all?
Yeah. I brought calls with me and we called a bit. So we split up into two groups of two, and me and my buddy that I was hunting with, we called a bunch and we didn't get a lot of responses. But yeah, and the other guys, they don't really call. That's not really their thing. And they were the ones that got into the bugling elk. But no, that time of year, we've never really been able to call elk in. Mostly I brought my bugle tube just to locate some bulls. In the morning and the evening, I'd throw a couple bugles out to see if I could get a response, but it didn't really work. But it's always worthwhile having your cow call with you in the woods. When you're in there, cow calls are just like a magic tool when you're elk hunting. And we did use our cow calls a lot because we would bump elk and we'd cow call and they'd calm down and they'd go back to feeding and we could sit down and let them chill. Or like after a shot, a cow call's magic. It keeps the herd from blowing out. So like everyone in my group is pretty versed in using their cow calls and making sure that if they bump elk, they don't go up over the ridge and disappear for everybody. Keep them in that same valley. So there's some tactics there around that. But yeah, unfortunately, we couldn't do what like archery hunters do. Like I'm not an archery hunter. I'm a rifle hunter. And so I haven't had a lot of those experiences of like bugling bulls coming into you and coming in at 10 yards. And God, it sounds exciting. Like after this year, seeing good elk up at the high country, like might be time to buy a bow and arrow and start getting after it earlier in the year.
Yeah, it's special. I love it. That's pretty awesome. Great advice. Always carry a cow call when you're elk hunting, regardless of what weapon you're using. Calm them down. Make them feel comfortable.
Oh, dude, it's magic. It's like the second you hit that cow call, they'll just stop. And if you take a shot and wound or miss, like you can cow call and probably get a second or third shot. Like it's amazing how much they'll stop in their tracks when they hear that cow call. And you can basically just go ham on it after chaos breaks loose. Like you don't really have to be great at it to get them to stop at least. Yeah. Sound like a little cow party. You and your buddy are both. I've got 2 calls on my lanyard so that I can sound like a calf or a mature cow. And I give a lot of success to carrying those cow calls around and having an easy access at all times. Like when you're still hunting, you bump an elk and it jumps up at 40 yards. You hit that cow call, you might get a shot off instead of it just blowing out.
Yep.
So definitely a tip for sure.
Well, here's a little tip for all you listeners. You guys can save some money on any Rocky Mountain hunting calls by using the code SOULSEEKERS. I think 15% off. Yeah, you can check out the code. It's on our website, but go pick yourself up a cow call for elk season. It's not too late. Little plug right there.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah.
I'm wearing their shirt.
Hell yes.
Yeah, I like to take care of the companies that take care of me. You guys are one of them. Like, phenomenal people. Do you know Josh Fields over at Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls?
No, I don't. I haven't actually interacted with them.
I'm gonna introduce you. Josh
Yeah.
he's a wizard on the cow call, and he's got the best hair in the hunting industry. Former professional baseball player. He was a pitcher for the Cleveland Indians. Long dark hair. Lives up in Montana. Cool dude.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Send an intro. I'd love to meet this guy.
Absolutely. All right. So tell us about the hunt.
Yeah.
And all that, and then I want to hear the nitty gritty.
Yeah. So we'll get right into it. So day one, Saturday, we get into elk early, but they kind of disappear on us. So me and my hunting buddy go way high. We get up to 12,500, 13,000 feet. And we're sitting on a glassing knob and we're just seeing all sorts of rad stuff. Like we saw a moose, I'm not kidding you, at 13,000 feet, a cow moose walking through a scree field.
Wow.
Like if I didn't see with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe that it happened. We saw a ton of moose on this trip actually too, which was really cool. But about 2:00 in the afternoon, we're sitting up on this ridge and I spot a couple elk bedded down in that loosely spaced dark timber at 1,500 yards, 1,554 something is what my rangefinder read. And it's like 2:00 and they were the opposite direction from camp. And I was debating whether or not we go after them or we leave them for the next day. And my hunting buddy was like, "You're kidding, right? We go after them. Like they're a mile away. They're 1,500 yards. Like we just go." This 1,500 yard stalk took us like an hour and a half. We were trying to be very conscious that they wouldn't see us, they wouldn't wind us. We had good wind. We were belly crawling. You know, I had my rifle in one hand, I had my tripod in another hand. First year hunting with a tripod. So I had all this stuff in my hands. We're belly crawling, we're sweating, it's hot. We ended up getting into 400 yards, 411 yards, and set up across a ravine from these elk. And I think we could have just walked to 400 yards. I think all the belly crawling and all the nonsense, these elk didn't have a clue we were there. So we did a good job of getting in close. And I decided, you know, it's opening day. I'm going to take a shot. I'm going to take this elk and I'm going to at least get one out of our 3 tags done. So there's a little pressure off the group. It wasn't a huge bull, but it was a 6x6, smaller, probably 3 or 4 year old bull. And he was sitting down broadside. And I took my shot, 411 yards, and he never stood up. He just flopped over. And it was this amazing moment. It was 3 p.m. I figured we had lots of time left in the day. It was epic. It was amazing. And so elk down, super pumped. We go over there, we quarter him, butcher him up, we get him in game bags, and we start heading home back to the camp to get the llamas. We're going to come back in the next day with the llamas and pack this thing out. Mistake number 1, when you hunt with llamas, take the llamas with you all the time. Because when you get an elk, you don't want to walk back to camp and then have to go back. And we didn't realize how far we had actually gotten away from camp. We were 6 miles from camp where this elk was down. And camp was 12 miles. We were 6.6 miles. And camp was 12 miles from the truck. So this elk ended up being 18.6 miles from the truck.
Wow.
And I tracked it on the way out, so I know exactly how far it is. And like that's just unthinkable if you don't have these pack animals. Even with the pack animals, it was kind of a nightmare. You know, it was like 6 miles back to camp. The next day we were going to do 6 miles back to the llama or back to the elk, and then 6 miles back to camp. So 18 miles just to get this elk to camp. And of course, you know, we get benighted, no big deal. You spend a lot of time in the woods in the dark when you're hunting. But like we got back up to the ridge where we had originally spotted them at like 6 p.m. and it was starting to get dark. And we were at 13,000 feet and we had a lot of terrain, scree fields, a whole sea full of willows, to 6 foot tall willows to manage our way through. And it was a long night. Like it took us, I think we got back to camp around 8:30 or 9. And we shot that elk at 3. So it was 5 hours to get back to camp. And we knew the next morning we had to take the llamas and do it all over. So we sleep, we're pumped. We go back out the next day. We've got the llamas with us, all 4 llamas. And we go to get this elk. And easy enough, llamas aren't like horses. They don't smell the blood. You can put the quarters on them fairly easy. They don't care. where horses I've had in the past that I've packed elk with, they don't like that. Some of them don't like that if they're not trained. They panic. And the llama outfitter guy told us, oh, yeah, go ahead. Put the head on the llama. No problem. Well, the llamas had something to say about that. They disagreed like nothing I've ever seen before. I picked up the head, and these llamas panicked. Like, these llamas, I was holding the lead on one, and I thought this llama was going to drag me over a cliff. Like, they wanted nothing to do with it. We finally wrangled this llama. We held him by the neck. We tied this head on, and he like, his breathing changed. You could tell he was panicked. You walk in front of these llamas, like, you string them together, and then you walk in front of the lead llama holding the lead rope. And normally they're like spaced out and they're off your back. This llama was pushing me. His neck was over my neck. His face was right next to mine. He was breathing heavy. I was hot and sweaty. He was spitting on me. Like, this llama was panicking. Like, so we got up to the ridge, and just like, we couldn't go any further. The llama sat down. They quit. They wouldn't go. And we had to take the head off, carry it down ourselves. And so that was the first instance of like, these llamas might not be as easy as we thought. Like, and we're way in here. Like, if we get 3 elk, which we had 3 tags, we're going to be in trouble. Like, this whole day, this 12 miles to this elk and back took the whole second day. It took us like 15 hours to get this elk back to camp. And me and my hunting buddy were just like, you guys, we, like, the other 2 guys that we were with that day while we were getting the llamas, they had killed, or while we were getting my elk, they had killed a bull as well. And so they had to take the llamas the next day. And we got back to camp, and it was dark, and we were like unloading the meat and getting the head off my back. And we were like, good luck. You guys take these llamas. I want nothing to do with these llamas. Like, pardon my French, but we were like, fuck these llamas. Like, I never want to see these llamas ever again. And the 2 other buddies were like pumped that they were going to take the llamas and get their elk the next day. And the looks on their face was, they just went ashen. They were like, what are you guys talking about? And we're like, you'll see. And so that was day 1 and 2, getting my elk out. Those guys went and got, on day 3, they went and got their elk out. They got the bugler. So now we got 2 elk in camp, and we got 1 buddy left with a tag. And that the morning, it was either morning of the 3rd day, morning of the 4th day, him and I go out to this spot we had scouted the morning before, and we got in early. We're sitting on the edge of this big meadow, beautiful meadow. We're sitting on the edge right under the timber on the north facing slope. And right at dawn, here comes a lone bull. Like, all the other elk we'd been seeing had been in small herds with cows, that had some satellite bulls. We hadn't seen any monsters. And out of the woods comes the monster bull, like the bull you're dreaming of.
Wow.
You know, like, I'm not good at scoring bulls. I've got a 300-inch head down in my basement, and I was like, it's a foot bigger and a foot wider than the one at home. Like, monster bull. He comes out of the woods at 850 yards, and he's just coming towards us. He's coming towards us. He's feeding towards us. I'm telling my buddy, hey, man, like, this elk is going to come right at us. Like, no joke. We didn't call. We made no noise. He comes straight at us, and there was a little meadow at 300 yards. And after that meadow, he was going to get too close, and he was going to be on the bottom side of a little hill. So we were going to lose him. So I told my hunting buddy, when he gets into that meadow, it's 300 yards, you got to take the shot. Of course, he comes right into that meadow like it was scripted, like he was on a string. He came 600 yards straight towards us, basically. And perfect. This is going to be amazing. He lays down. He's prone. He's got his bipod out. This guy's a pretty good shooter. He's a Marine. He's got a nice X-bolt, 7 mag, and he's got a really fancy high-end precision rifle scope. One of those scopes that you see the dudes at the range that has like all the bells and whistles and the knobs and everything. It's like the size of your leg. Like, it's like 24X, and you're like, holy shit, that's a lot of scope. Takes a shot, misses. 300 yards, easy shot, right? Takes a shot, misses. Elk turns around, runs the 600 yards right back from where he came. He's shooting at him as he's taking off. And I see the 3rd or 4th shot, and it's like 5 feet to the left. I'm like, what is going on, dude? And he's distraught. Like, he takes his hat off. He throws it on the ground. Like, this is like once in a lifetime bull.
Yeah.
And the situation was perfect. Like it just came together. Like it was meant to be. But it was too easy, man. And I have this belief in hunting: when it's too easy, things just go fucking wrong, and it doesn't work out. Like when you see an elk right by the truck, something goes wrong. You wound it, and it ends up going 3 miles on the woods, and you got to drag it all the way out. Like this was too easy. And after he kind of got his wits about him, he looked at his rifle, and his fancy rifle with all the knobs, his windage knob was turned all the way to the left, like 60 clicks.
Wow.
And it's because he had it on his shoulder the day before dealing with these damn llamas, and the lead rope, I saw it a couple of times. The lead rope kind of got wrapped around his scope at times, and the lead rope going back and forth must have turned his windage knob. And he normally checks, like he's a Marine, like he normally checks. And this was the first time he's like, this is the first time I didn't check. I just got caught up in the moment of this giant elk coming. I didn't check my elevation and my windage knob. And I was like, there's not a lock on that knob. Like there's not a cap. He's like, no, it's like fancy, for precision shooters that want to change it all the time. And I was like, dude, that fancy scope costs you like the bull of a lifetime. And he actually just texted me yesterday. We've been home for 2 weeks now. And he had the scope in a box, and he said, I'm selling this damn scope. I'm getting one that has a lockable windage knob. Or like, I was like, why do you even need a windage knob, dude? Like, we're hunting at 300 yards. You don't really need to worry that much about wind. Like you're not shooting 1,000-yard shots. And it just was like this amazing moment of like, sometimes you don't need all the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
Like if he would have had his dad's 30-06 with like a duplex scope 3x9, he would have killed this elk. And instead, all this high-tech stuff. And, we think about this all the time. Like we all take high-tech stuff into the woods. It makes us feel good when we buy expensive new shit. And the expensive new shit is what failed. And it was a bummer. And he was really down about it. Like this was day 3. We had 2 more days of the hunt. First season rifle is a 5-day hunt. And we already had 2 elk down, and we were trying to figure out how do we get these animals out of the woods. And he was really bummed. And so we see this elk, it takes off, it goes through the trees, it gets up on a ridge. We see it go over a ridge. And I knew there was another valley on the other side of that ridge. And I said, let's just go up there. Where we last saw him was like 3 miles away. And I was like, let's go up there. Like, this is a stupid idea, but figured to make him feel good. So I was like, let's go up there. And he's like, yeah, let's go. Let's chase that elk. He's going to be in the next meadow. Calm down. And we're going to find him again. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, this is a slog, man. We're going to go. I was going to climb 2,000 feet, go 3 miles away, sit on a ridge and hope that he's just on the other side. When we saw him go over that ridge at 3 miles away, he was still full on running. Like he was booking it.
Wow.
Like this elk wasn't in like feeding mode. He wasn't calmed down. So I kind of knew that it was a hopeless endeavor, but I also figured maybe there's other elk in that valley. Let's just go up there. I mean, we got nothing else to do at this point. It's 7 a.m. Like it's early. We got all day. We're going to hunt all day no matter what. We're going to hunt for 2 more days. But we get up there and we we get up there and we don't find the elk, obviously. It's the first time we've gotten cell phone service in a week. We call our wives and we tell them, we're having a good hunt. We got 2 elk. Sean's missed one, but we're good. He's upset, but we're good. And as we're sitting there on our phones, a bear, a chocolate color phase bear, walks out in the meadow below us at 300 yards, the exact distance that he missed his shot, 309 yards. And I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Like 309 yards. I'm like, and I've been looking for a bear for like 5 years. I looked for a bear this fall. I just can't find one. And here's a bear. And I'm the only one in the group that has a bear tag. And I'm like, we got to take this bear. We got to get some redemption. It's got to feel good. Let's take this bear. And so, he backed me up. We both shot this bear. And in the end, he got to help harvest an animal none of us in our group have ever harvested.
Sweet.
An animal he's never even seen. It was this gorgeous, mature sow, beautiful mahogany brown. I mean, it was unbelievable. And so the day ended up turning around, and it turned out to be this amazing experience. And we come back into camp that night, and our buddies are like sitting there drinking whiskey, and they've got their elk. They're super proud. My elk's sitting there, and they're like, "We heard you guys shoot. Did you get an elk?" And he's got the bear in his backpack, and he turns around, and they're just like, "What the fuck? Oh my god!" And like camp erupted, right? Like just joyous, like, "Oh my god, this is so cool that this thing happened!" Like we got this bear, and like the moment of missing the elk was totally washed away by the moment of having this experience together of harvesting this bear. And it turned out to be it's the best hunt I've ever been on. I've been hunting out west for 18 years now, and it was by far and away the best hunt I've ever been on. I mean, no people, wilderness zone, tons of animals everywhere, 2 good 6x6 elk, a bear. Like, yeah, there was a miss, and it was an epic miss, but it all worked out in the end. And dude, it was amazing. So that's the hunt story.
That's incredible. You said you were the first time hunting with a tripod. I know a lot of the Onyx guys went over to Hat Creek and trained with Seekins Precision and Matty Nelson. Were you able to do that?
No, I didn't get on that trip, but I have done a couple precision rifle courses. One of my friends growing up, his dad owned a couple precision rifle schools. And so we got to do it. And so I've been shooting a long time, but I've always shot prone. I like religiously shoot prone, potentially shoot off a tree, but never have used a tripod. The last couple of years I've been using hiking poles just to help. I'm an old guy now. Apparently I just turned 40, so not that old, but hiking poles are like a hack. Like they really make it easier to wander around. And I've actually used my hiking poles a few times now as a really tall bipod, just holding them in an X, putting my gun on top of them. But, I was at Western Hunt last year, and there's a ton of tripod manufacturers at Western Hunt. And I kind of got sucked in by the allure of them. And so I thought, I'm going to take a tripod, and I'm actually really impressed with it. I've got the Spartan bipod system, and then I've got like the Spartan, it's called Davos head that goes on a tripod. And if you're not familiar with it, it's like this cool little system that replaces your swivel, your sling swivel, the front sling swivel, with this little magnetic mount. So you don't have to walk around with your bipod on your gun. It's super light carbon fiber, but you don't walk around with it. You can throw it on, but then your gun can also magnet onto a tripod. Super kick-ass system if there's nothing to get prone on, or if you got to shoot above some scrub oak. Having that in my hand, it's kind of a pain in the ass to carry a tripod around, I got to admit, but it gave me extra confidence. I didn't shoot off it. I shot off my bipod this year for that elk shot, but having it, like when you're in those moments of being in the willows and you don't want to take an offhand shot and you have an opportunity, like it's really nice to be able to just throw the tripod down and be able to take a really good stable shot from the middle of a willow patch or from the middle of a scrub oak patch or somewhere in the forest where you can't get to a tree that is at the right place. So I think it's really an interesting idea. I'm going to be hunting with it. I've got a deer hunt in a week, and I'm 100% taking it with me because I think I'm going to try to shoot off of it just to try and see how it goes. But like, I don't think I need to shoot prone anymore, man. Like being on a knee on a tripod feels just as good as shooting prone.
Yeah. Dude, that's
So I'm
awesome.
pumped.
I was talking with Matty Nelson on one of our episodes that we recorded with him, and he said, "What's your goal of hunting?" And I was like, "To kill an animal." He's like, "Exactly." So it doesn't matter how much something weighs or how big it is. If it helps you become more efficient at that moment to take that animal's life, do you want it? And I was like, "Well, yeah, that makes sense. It's logical." And then on top of that, there's tripods that are lightweight and strong and compact and all that. So
Yeah, I got the Tricer backcountry, and it's like 1 pound. I mean, it's more bulky than it is heavy. But again, like I agree. Like if it's gonna help you take a better shot, like 100%, you might get one shot in a hunt, right?
right.
Like you do all this training, you buy all this gear, you get fit, you go to Colorado, whatever, and you might get one shot. You got to make that one shot count. And if it's a 1 pound tripod, then yeah, take it. I mean, again, I really prefer being prone, but I had it there in case I needed to be above some twigs, and I could now take a 400 or 500 yard shot from a knee. where that shot wasn't possible in the past.
Right.
Like an offhand shot standing in a briar patch,
Yep.
like 100 yards, maybe 150. Like I'm not taking a 300-yard shot offhand.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So anyway,
that's pretty epic, dude. Congratulations, by the way.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a great hunt. Honestly, it was the best hunt I've ever been on. Mainly because we didn't see any people at all. And Colorado is notorious for just having way too much pressure. And we found a way in a new zone that we'd never hunted to A, get away from people, and B, find a lot of animals. And, ultimately, it just was a great experience. Weren't the biggest elk in the world. We didn't see the most elk that we've ever seen on a hunt. But like the experience itself was just really quality. And so we're already talking about going back next year. We may take llamas again. I'll tell you why we may not here in a second. We may try to get like a outfitter to pack us in on horses and just drop us off. But the reason why we might not take llamas were awesome. I mean, here's the way I'm explaining this hunt to buddies. Like, it was awesome. The llamas are a pain in the ass, but you couldn't do it without them. Like, they made this hunt possible. You literally couldn't have done it. I was 18.6 miles from the truck when I killed my elk. Like, I could not have packed that elk out. Just not possible. And even with the llamas, we had to do 2 trips out. So our camp was 12 miles from the truck. And we brought too much shit. But even if we only had brought in 30 or 40, 50 pounds of gear each, we still probably would have had to have done 2 trips. So what we learned is we thought we needed 1 llama per hunter. You really probably need 1.5 llamas per hunter. If we would have come in with 6 instead of 4, we probably could have gotten everything out in 1 trip. But instead, we had to do 2 trips. And 2 of my buddies drew the short straws and had to go out and back. And they did it in a day. It was 24 miles. They had to go out and back with all the meat. We had 2 elk and a bear. They had to go out and back. And then the next day we packed our camp out, and it was like this epic. Like, the guys came back and they, again, were like, fuck these llamas. Like, fuck them, fuck them, fuck them, fuck them. We're like, what? Like, me and the other guy, like, we stayed at camp. I jumped in the river and bathed. Like, I clipped my toenails. Like, I put lotion on my hands. Like, it was like a day of luxury in the mountains. I drank a bunch of whiskey. I ate all the extra cookies. It was a nice day.
You didn't leave anything for your buddies who were
no, of course. And like, so we had this relaxing day. And the 2 guys, they come back. They left at 7 a.m. and they didn't get back till 7 p.m. It took them 12 hours. And they said they never once stopped walking that 24 miles. And they said the llamas just kept quitting. We put too much weight on them or something. 2 elk and a bear, I guess, is too much. They kept quitting. We weighed the bags. It was like 100, 120 pounds on each llama. But they just kept quitting, laying down, not wanting to go. They said there was a point that it was like for 45 minutes, the llamas wouldn't budge. They're like tugging on them. They're like trying to like prod them in the ass. They're at one point they got them going, and the only way to keep them going was to run them. And so my one buddy was running the llamas for like a mile. And I'm like, oh my God, this sounds like a nightmare. And
as you eat another cookie.
Yeah, like, I'll have another cookie. Thank you very much. And so it was a struggle, man. It was a struggle for sure for them. The next day we go out and same thing. We got all our camp gear. And the llamas were tired by this point. At this point, they've been packing elk for 4 or 5 days. They've been living in the backcountry, not getting a bunch of grain or oats. Like, they're just eating grass. And they got tired on the way out just with our gear too. Like, they stopped 4 or 5 times, and like, it was a nightmare, man. By the time we got back to the trucks, the llamas were spitting at us every time they could. The llamas were giving us the evil eye. Like, these llamas will give you this evil eye. Like, they think they're like, they know they're up to no good. Like, they're about to do something nasty. And they just wanted nothing to do with us. They were like, fuck you guys. Like, they're like, you guys are assholes. And it's like, well, llamas, you're here to work. Like, get to work. But, I think they had enough. They were pretty pumped to get back to the trailer and know that they were done. And we were pretty pumped to get back to the trailer and be done with these damn llamas. So it was a pretty happy day to get them to the trailer, get them home, drop them back off at the llama guy's house. Like, they add a level of complexity. Bringing pack animals into any hunt adds a level of complexity that just like is not there, period, full stop. If you're just like truck hunting, or if you're wall tent hunting, or if you're backpack hunting. Like, yes, they allow you to go further, they allow you to go deeper, but that allowed us to kill elk, but that also can get you in trouble. Like, I still shouldn't have killed an elk 18 miles in the woods. It was still too far. It was too much work for the llamas. It was too much work for me and my buddies. Like, it was they allow you to get yourself into trouble. And in the end, like, it was awesome, but you either need more llamas or you potentially also need some horses, because you also have to walk all this. We ended up calculating it up. We walked about, the two guys that walked the most, that did that extra trip, they walked about 85 miles in 5 days. And all this is at like 11 and 12,000 feet. So it was an exhausting week. And the llamas, just like, it's a constant, you're constantly working. Like, you have to unsaddle them every day. You got to stake them out. You got to move the stake every day. And it's not as much as horses, but it's still a level of complexity that leads to some headaches and some heartaches and a lot of sweat. So it was kick ass, and the pictures are kick ass. Like, it looks like we're super badass. It looks like we're on an expedition. And it was rewardingly hard, but it was also harder than it needed to be. So we'll see how we do it next year. We'll see if we just go back in on foot with llamas, or if we get an outfitter to pack us in. We want to hunt that same area, but man, it is a lot of work doing a hunt like this.
Yeah, I sounds like it. I want to go. Take me with you.
Yeah, it was kick ass, man. It was kick ass. If we would have had another 2 guys up there, we would have had 6 guys. We probably could have tagged out another elk or 2. Like, we had opportunity for sure. We had more opportunity than the 4 of us needed. And the experience was just super rad. So I'm doing it again for sure. And I'll probably end up doing it a very similar way. And I'll probably next year say the llamas were a pain in the ass and we did it the hard way. But it was worth it in the end. It was the best hunt I've ever been on. So,
dude, you're going to do it again and then just get more llamas.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if we would have taken 6 llamas, it would have been better. If we would have hunted with the llamas the first day, like, we wouldn't have had to do that extra 12 miles to get my elk out. Like, we could have just taken 2 llamas every day when you go out. And if you get an elk, then you get it back to camp. No problem. 1 trip. So, like, just cutting down on the extra trips would have helped a ton.
Yeah, totally. Well, brother, I love that story, and for the sake of time and stuff like that, let's shift gears here real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what's happening with Onyx. I just got an email today that out of state Arizona and Idaho tags are to be on the hunt reminder for that. Be aware of what's happening. Just talk about what's happening with Onyx and what to be on the lookout for.
Yeah, so obviously it's the middle hunting season right now, so no one's thinking about where they're going to hunt next year. But that's coming right around the corner. So, we call it application season at Onyx, and we've got a bunch of tools to help hunters figure out what they're doing during application season, how to apply for tags, where to apply. And it starts with a couple tools. So last year we acquired Top Rut. Top Rut was a draw odds tool, or is a draw odds tool. And that helps you understand, for limited entry tags and draw tags, like, what your odds of actually getting these tags are. A lot of Western states run off of draws. There's some opportunity for over-the-counter tags out west, but it's not like back east where you can basically get all your tags over the counter. You got to draw good units. And so that's one tool to definitely understand and do some research on. Another tool we have that you get as an elite Onyx user is Hunt Reminder. So Hunt Reminder is a tool that you get to put in all the hunts that you're interested in, all the species, all the states. And every time there's a draw or an application deadline or tags go on sale, they'll either email you or text you. I just got a text about Texas and their bighorn sheep draw, and that's closing soon. Last week, there was a draw in Hawaii for access deer on Lanai. So, like, you get these alerts for the hunts that you're interested in, so you don't miss a draw ever again. That's really important. Most people, like a lot of people, the number one reason they don't get to hunt these awesome opportunities is they miss the draws, or they just didn't know when the draws were, especially if you're an out-of-state hunter.
Right.
And then the last tool that's part of that is Hunting Fool. So Hunting Fool is an awesome service where you can actually call someone and they can talk you through how to plan a hunt, where to apply, how to apply. They'll even apply for you if you want that level of service. They've got a magazine that details every Western state and all the best units and what's new and what's happening. And it's an awesome service. And the guys at Hunting Fool are great partners. They're insanely knowledgeable. They're the most knowledgeable hunters I've ever met. And so you get all 3 of those services for free with an Onyx Elite account. But what you're talking about, we just sent an email out about Idaho and Arizona. So non-resident over-the-counter tags go on sale. Arizona's today. This is November 2nd. I don't know when this podcast will come out, but Arizona non-resident deer tags went on sale today, which is a change. They changed the date from last year. It's a lot earlier this year. So that's actually going to surprise some people and sneak up on some people. So if you're interested in going to Arizona as a non-resident, you can get your deer tags over the counter. They do sell it quick, so get on it. Idaho, that happens December 1st. That's non-resident over-the-counter deer and elk tags. So there's obviously limited draw tags you can put in for all these states as well, but there's also these over-the-counter opportunities. So those Idaho tags go on sale for non-residents December 1st. Those ones last year I think sold out in like 5 hours. So those, you got to be on it December 1st. You got to be online or on the phone. You got to get those tags. I think actually it's all online this year. So anyway, yeah, we want to keep our users appraised of what's happening in application season, even though these you don't have to apply for, but we want to help people get tags for their upcoming hunts. And so we're going to keep people reminded. You can sign up for all the reminders at Hunt Reminder. You can talk to the guys at Hunt and Fool. You can use Top Rut for draw odds. And then on top of that, onX is coming out with a new tool in 2024 to help you do more research for your upcoming hunts before you get to your tag. So we kind of view hunting in a couple different sections. So there's the research section and the application section. That's always happening in the spring when you're applying for tags. Then you put in and you actually apply, and then you get your tag. You get your tag sometime in the middle of summer, early summer. Then you go into the research for your hunt. So that's like your e-scouting, you're planning how you're going to get there, your packing of your gear, sighting in your rifle. And then there's the section where you actually go on your hunt. That's when you're in the field, you got your app open on your phone, you're looking for elk, you're harvesting elk. And so we want to make sure that we have a tool for all of those processes. And, historically onX has been a mapping tool. So we really help hunters in that third phase when you're actually in your hunt. That's super important. That's the most important. But we also want to help people learn how to e-scout earlier in the summer, learn how to figure out where they're going to go, how they're going to get to where they're going. And now we're starting to help people with the application side of things, knowing your draw odds, doing some research on harvest data, doing some research on hunting pressure and what units you want to target, trying to understand where you want to go in, where you want to come out. And so, yeah, we've got a tool coming out in 2024 that's going to be a little more robust to help hunters do some of that early season research and decide where they want to try to get a tag. So we're excited about that. It's super awesome. That's the program I personally work on. And I'm super excited to be able to help hunters just find better opportunities. A lot of hunters just buy an over-the-counter tag, or they apply for the same unit every year because that's what they've done. That's what their dad did. That's what their uncle does. And I think those hunters are actually missing out on really good opportunities. My hunt this year is a perfect example of that. I hunted the same unit for the last 17 years. Because of some unforeseen circumstances, we had to look for a new unit. We found a unit that had 100% draw odds for no point hunters. Since we get a tag every year, we didn't have any points. And we were able to go to a new unit, have a great hunt, have a great opportunity, and we were successful. And so doing the research up front can really help you have just better hunts and potentially hunt more often in more states, get more tags. So keep an eye out for that coming out.
The other thing that I want to add to that is it also makes you a better hunter when you hunt new areas. Because
100%.
Like, oh, I know this area like the back of my hand. Well, okay, good. And keep working on getting better, give yourself new opportunities and continue to grow. Sharpen yourself.
Oh, when you look at my onX from the past 17 years, I probably have 7 or 8 elk that are killed within the same 500 yards of each other. Like I know in that unit where I wanted to go. Every morning I'd walk out to that same spot, I'd sit in glass, and sure enough, there'd be elk at this watering hole, or elk in that wallow, or elk coming out of this dark timber. And going to a new unit really tested my skills. I really had to prove to myself that all the hunts I've done in the West over the last 2 decades, I've learned something from. And I harnessed all that, and I learned something, and I went and proved it. And it honestly made me a better hunter to go, hunt a new area, try hunting new species, hunt a different time of year. Like all these things make it a completely different hunt. And, so if you have a plan, like I think a lot of people just don't have a plan coming hunting season. They're just going to do the same thing they've done every year. I grew up in Northern Illinois. So you're going to go to Wisconsin, you're going to go to deer camp, you're going to hunt the same 40 acres, you're going to sit in the same tree stand. Like there's so many opportunities out there to have a different hunt, potentially a better hunt.
Yep.
And so try it. Like I think going into application season with a plan and a strategy is something a lot of hunters don't do. They have a plan and strategy for the hunt, but not for actually getting the tag. And so I think that there's you learn a lot, and I think that you can actually get a lot better hunts if you just have that strategy planned out.
Yeah, I totally agree. One of the things I want to shout out that I love that onX did this year was 2 state memberships.
Yeah.
That as simple as that sounds is a big deal, because
it's a huge deal. We've had people asking for that for onX is 13, 14 years old. We've had people asking for that since inception. When are you going to allow me to have 2 states? Because the options have always been you get 1 state, usually the state you live in or you're a resident of, or the state you always hunt, or you get all 50 states. And it's awesome that the company decided let's give another option for those people that don't need all 50 states. But like I was as a kid, I grew up in Illinois and I hunted in Illinois, but then we went to Wisconsin too. We were 40 minutes from the Wisconsin border. So it's like I really would have needed 2 states. There wasn't onX back then, but there's a lot of those hunters out there. Right now I live 40 minutes from Wyoming. I turkey hunt in Wyoming, I turkey hunt in Nebraska, and a 1-state product just wouldn't have worked for me. And so it's a cool option for people that are starting to explore a second state. I think hunting in multiple states teaches you a lot about hunting. You learn about new regulations. You learn all sorts of stuff. There's all sorts of different rules and laws. And so it makes you a more well-rounded hunter. And so it's a kick-ass option. It's not much more expensive, 10 or 15 bucks, I think, to get that second state. It's a great option for people that maybe don't need everything that comes with Elite. But I want to make it clear too, like Elite isn't just 50 states. Like that used to be the value prop, 1 state or the whole country. But really, like you get so much more with Elite nowadays. If you go up to Elite, yes, you get 50 states, but you also get Canada if you're ever going to go to Canada. You also get a bunch of pro deals with our partner brands. So you can get a pro deal from First Light, you pro deal from Exo Packs. You can get some digital learning courses from like the Hunting Collective, from Born and Raised Outdoors. We've got some shooting courses on there from Seekins Precision and Vortex. Like there's all sorts of stuff you get from Elite. You also get all the application season stuff like we just talked about, Top Rut, Hunt Reminder, Hunt and Fool, access to this new product in 2024. Like you get a lot with Elite that you don't get in Premium or Premium 2-state. So even if you don't need the 48 other states, there's a lot of functionality and features that you get as an Elite member, and there's a ton of savings on the gear you're going to need to get out in the woods. So I would definitely consider that going to Elite. You get so much for the money. It's $99 a year. It's not that much more expensive when you amortize it over 12 months. Like you really do get a lot more. But I get it. There's people that just need their state or just need their state plus one, and they don't need all the bells and whistles. But I'll tell you what, using those bells and whistles got me into a new unit this year, got me onto an elk in a unit I've never hunted, got me onto a bear. We've got a guy at onX, and this story will be coming out, but he got a second mountain goat tag in Montana. It's hard enough to get your first. He got his second. He's only in his 40s. He did that with the tools like Top Rut, understanding draw odds. He then e-scouted, found where these goats would potentially be, and he went into the field this fall, this October, and harvested his second goat. And so a lot of that came from some of those tools, a lot of the tools that are accessible by the Elite membership. So I just put it out there. There's a lot of tools. It's more than just 50 states. So that's not just the differentiator anymore.
Well, the other thing is that it's the value is what you make of it, right? Like it's invaluable to me. onX and what everything that comes with it is, I can't put a price tag on it. But if you're not going to use it and you're going to just be the same old, I know it like the back of my hand, you're not going to use those benefits the way you could.
Totally. There's a lot of hunters out there that use onX for a map, and they don't have any waypoint set. They don't use a lot of the tools, and that's fine. But the tools really are there to help you be more effective and to help you harvest more animals. Like once you really get in there, and there's a bunch of, we have webinars that teach you how to use the app. There's stuff on our YouTube page. There's tutorials. There's videos. There's all this stuff to really help you if you're frustrated or you don't understand all the ins and outs and bells and whistles. But when you do figure them out, holy cow, does it give you an advantage. I mean, we got wind on a waypoint, so you can understand what is going on with wind, where you're setting a waypoint. We've got tools like leaf off, so you can see what's going on if you want to take the leaves off the tree and see what's going on during the time of year where imagery has the leaf on. We've got recent imagery, so you can look back every 2 weeks. Like, there's all sorts of tools to help you. We got layers about crop data. We got layers about tree data. I mean, we got all sorts of stuff that really helps you be a more sophisticated hunter. And of course, there's a lot of hunters out there that have just done it the old-fashioned way. They got a 30-30 and they kill their deer every year in northern Michigan. But I'm telling you, use the tool and you'll be more effective. Just full stop.
I love it. I love it. Well, brother, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast, sharing your story. Congratulations on getting your first bear. I'm really excited. I can't wait to hunt bear with you. I think that's one of the things we've been talking with Dylan up in Montana about, maybe doing a spring bear hunt with Onyx for you guys this year. And I think
let's do it.
That'd be epic.
I want to do that big time. We don't have a spring bear hunt in Colorado anymore, so I really would love to get up to Montana and do a spring bear hunt.
Well, hey, speaking of Colorado real quick, we need to make sure that we change the tide of public opinion. Colorado, the cougar, bobcat, and which is not even a hunted animal in North America, United States, is the lynx was added into it. You got this initiative that's going to be hitting the masses this coming spring about banning. They use the term trophy hunting in it.
Of course.
We got to stay vigilant, change the term of how we define and how the public defines trophy hunting. So be on the lookout for that. Go follow Howl for Wildlife. They're putting out some amazing content, and be advocates for hunting, because if we are not advocates, who else is going to be? It's up to us.
100%. We gotta rebrand this idea that hunting is bad. I think a lot of people feel that way, and as hunters, we know we're doing good things. We know that we're funding conservation. We know that we're supporting wildlife and healthy populations, and so we got to get that message out there. I totally agree.
Yep. I love it. All right, Paul Ronto, you stud, man. I love it. Love you. You're awesome. Thanks for joining us. Everybody, go pick up yourself an Onyx Elite membership. Tell them that Ronto sent you, because that is something that he truly swears by. So do I. Onyx has been a game changer since day one, since I got it. And I'm a big proponent of them and the company. Amazing company, amazing people that work there. And I'm not just being a fluffer for you. Like, I truly believe in the product. So go get yourself one of those. Let us know if you have any success. Tag us some pictures and posts. Also, if you're looking at picking up any sweet Soul Seekers swag to wear this coming year, I know Christmas is coming around the corner. Go to the soulseekersnation.com, swing by the store, get yourself some merch. And I'm gonna do a little giveaway right here. I'm gonna give away an Onyx membership and Onyx hat. For those of you who are listening to this podcast and you listen and you hear, so this is going to go for, I'll open it up to anyone who leaves a comment on the podcast. That would be for iTunes or Spotify comment, or the Instagram post that goes out. This will be a collaborative Instagram post with Paul. Should I collab with you on this? I'm going to collab with you. If anyone comments the color of Paul's bear that he shot, Paul, what color was it?
It was mahogany.
Okay, so if you can comment, leave a comment for the podcast, either on the Instagram post or Spotify or iTunes, the color mahogany.
Spelling not required.
No, there you go. I'm gonna put a little swag pack together, and we're gonna send you an Onyx membership and an Onyx hat, and who knows, you might find some Soul Seekers swag in there as well. So mahogany, rich mahogany.
Rich mahogany.
I love it. All right, guys, thanks for listening to this episode. Thanks for tuning in. Be blessed. Know that hunting has a power to transform lives through primal adventure, and that you can never outgive good, as mentorship is conservation. We need to be the change we want to see in the world, and that starts by making sure that everyone understands that hunting is human. Be blessed. For Paul Ronto at Onyx and Type 3 Life, Johnny Mack at Soul Seekers, freedom on, everybody, and stay soulful.
If you enjoyed today's podcast and want to support the show, you can always like, share, subscribe, and leave a rating as it helps us share our mission of mentorship is conservation. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of Soul Seekers Nation as we transform lives through primal adventure. If you want to get more connected with the podcast, check out the Soul Seekers Nation Facebook group, as I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. So stay tuned and stay soulful.